Hello and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Long Gone Loser Rock Show. We have to talk about it because I saw them last night. We're going to talk about the Victims.
Hey, little boy, hey, rest in peace. I don't care if you're crippled. Think about your will, or consider wheels for your reason. Hey, little boy, get a plastic heart, get a fucking toy, get a plastic die. Don't wanna see you, just hang you on the finger. Bye, bye, cover. Some don't get the money, some don't get the glory. Some don't get the money, some don't get the glory. Some don't get the money, some don't get the glory. Some don't get the money, some don't get the glory. You ain't gonna get money.
James Baker and Dave Faulkner, who were both members of the first incarnation of the Hoodoo Gurus. Now, prior to being in the Hoodoo Gurus, they were in the Victims. They formed in Perth and they were just insane. Now, I remember years and years and years ago, like when I was just starting to get into punk and stuff like that, and I went to thrash, grind and grunge, and I was talking to a guy there called Dave Manning, and he would talk to me about all these bands that I just needed to have in my life. And he mentioned the Victims, and I didn't know anything about them, but I think maybe I was talking to him about the Hoodoo Gurus, about how much I loved them, and he's asked me about, oh, do you know about this band called the Victims? Now, I was a kid, so I wasn't really like switched on. I was just discovering the underground Australian music scene from the Waterfront Records era. So, 83 to 93. So I wasn't switched on to all the stuff that was happening in the 70s. Of course, I'd heard about the Saints and Birdman and whatever, the birthday party and stuff. But I wasn't hip to it into the fact that, I was searching out those records. I mean, I found Radio Birdman records for secondhand, in the stores around that time, as soon as I found out about Radio Birdman, and I'd buy them and they're really cheap. But a band like the Victims, their records are impossible to find. I couldn't find their stuff anywhere. And it wasn't until it must have been sometime in the early 90s when I was in a record store, Big Star Records, of course, when I found this compilation in the basement of Big Star Records. I picked it up and there it is on the back in the track listing there. You can see the song Television Addict. Now, I knew about the song Television Addict because I had it on cassette tape because Dave Manning made me a cassette tape that had all this really cool shit on it. And it had 2 or 3 songs from the Victims on there. I'm Flipped Out Over You was on there. Television Addict. And there was one more, and I can't remember what the third song was. Maybe it was TV Freak. And he put these songs on this tape for me, and I was just blown away. Now, as soon as Dave Manning told me about a band, I had to go and find everything I could about them. And the Victim stuff, like I said, impossible to find. Just couldn't find it anywhere. So when I found this and found that it had, Television Addict by the Victims on there, I was pretty fucking excited. Like, it is just such a good song. Like, as we all know, it is such a great song. Now, I wanted to find the EP which was put out called All's Quiet on the Western Front. Is that what it's called? Yeah, All's Quiet on the Western Front. It's a compilation of the singles that they'd put out. Couldn't find that record anywhere, and I'd go into record stores and ask them if they had it, and they said no, it's very hard to get, but if we see one, we'll hold on to it for you. I ended up getting the recording on cassette tape. Someone taped me all the Victim stuff, like off the original records there, and I listened to that tape non-stop. And then it wasn't until 2011 when I finally got the Victims on record, besides this compilation that I'd got in the early 90s. So basically what happened was I was in Japan in 2011 with some friends, and we're doing a record buying trip. I've mentioned this trip plenty of times because so much happened on that trip. And anyway, I went into this one store. It was called Nat Records. I told you about it in the Japan videos that I did. I went to Nat Records, and upstairs they were a pretty big store, and we read about it, so we went there. And while we were there, they had the Victims going over the PA, and I said, "Oh, nice choice." And the guy said, yeah, it's just come out. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, they just released a CD. And I said, oh my God, is there a vinyl version of this? And he said, it's coming next week. Now, I was leaving in exactly 1 week. And so he said, come back and we should have it. And so I went there on the day that I was leaving. As soon as I walked in the store, they knew why I was there and they grabbed it out for me. And that's when I bought Sleeping Dogs Lie. Now, this was released on a label called 1977 Records. And yeah, it's like a compilation. It's got all the recorded studio stuff on one side, and the other side's got the demo tape on there. Now, this is really cool, and it's such a great collection to have everything on the one record rather than have it, you know, spread over 7 inches and whatever. I was in Amoeba in 2000 and... when was it? 2015, I think it was. I went to Amoeba, and they had bootleg versions of the 7-inch there, like the Human Turd 7-inch on Television Addict. And I should have bought copies of them, but I was on a budget. I'd already had this record, and I thought, fuck it, you know, I'll just leave these 7 inches. And hopefully somebody who doesn't know about this band will be able to buy these 7 inches and enjoy them as well. So that was my way of thinking. I already had the songs. I didn't need them again. I'd rather somebody else get them and enjoy the music, because this band fucking rules, and I wanted everybody to have a copy of it. Anyway, so this record, it has this folded up thing inside it, which is pretty cool, and it has all the lyrics, and it also has these sorts of little things on the inside. Now, I'm guessing this is what came inside the CD, so that's why it's folded up like this. But anyway, if you can't see the songs, there you go. Now, in 2014, I think it was, there was an announcement that the Victims were going to reform with Ray Arn from the Hard-Ons playing bass. Now, they were going to be called the Television Addicts. And so I went to that. It was at the Reverence Hotel. And it was so good. It was really, really good. It was cool to see a band that was, you know, very raw and just, you know, primitive. And I don't mean in a bad way. I mean it in a way as in like stripped down just to the basics, you know, just kick-ass 2-minute long songs, just rocking out. And Dave Faulkner, you know, from the Hoodoo Gurus, I mean, the Hoodoo Gurus are very slick, very mainstream, very pop, and they're a fantastic band. And so, you know, when you see the Hoodoo Gurus live for years, people would be yelling out Television Addict, and they'd end up learning the song and playing it because everyone just fucking wanted to hear it. So it made sense that he would get, you know, back with James Baker and do these songs. Now, I got them to sign the record there. You can see it there to Damien, James Baker, and Dave Flick. He signed it as, which I was pretty stoked on. So anyway, let's fast forward to last night. So last night they came as the Victims, not the Television Addicts. They played with a band called Chimers, who are from Wollongong, and they were really, really, really good band. Two-piece band, really, really solid band. Great songs, really good guitar tone as well. He got a lot of power out of that guitarist for just having one guitar and a drum kit. Like, there was no bassist or whatever. But anyway, fantastic. And then on comes the Victims. Now, right from the get-go, they hit the ground running, and it was so fucking good.
Let's do it. Monster.
I was just blown away. The sound in there was fantastic, and so many people were there. Like, it was like the who's who of Melbourne's rock scene. Like, anyone who's been in a rock and roll band in Melbourne was at that show, and if you weren't, you just missed out. I'm sorry to say. It was just an incredible night. Like, they played, everything you wanted to hear pretty much. They played pretty much every song that they had, including the songs off this EP, Horror Smash, which is songs that were old, but they re-recorded them with Ray Arn from the Hard-Ons on bass, and which is really cool. Now, this was released on In the Red Records, and you should still be able to find copies. If you can't find one, you can get one from me at sonicshakes.com. I still have one copy of this record left. This is really, really fucking cool stuff. Really, really cool stuff. And they played so many songs last night, and they did do there's another 7-inch you can get, which is Girls Don't Go for Punks, or I think that's what it's called. I have a copy of it, but it's in America. I couldn't find a copy here in Australia, but I found a copy in an American record store, and I got it sent to my mate in America to save on postage. Very smart. And I'll go over there and get it next year, so it's going to take a while before I get it in my hands. But anyway, they played pretty much everything that they had, and it was just unreal. Yeah, as you can see by the video footage that I've been including in this, the band were on fire and they sounded fantastic. So it was such a good night. I'm glad that we got to see them. That was like the last ever show for Melbourne people, and now they're doing one tonight in Sydney for the Sydney folk. And man, I really hope everybody gets out and sees this, because to know that we had something like that good here in Australia, it's pretty mind-blowing. Like, just to watch it, and they sounded like a band that had just formed today. Like, they were just, they were so tight. They were fucking brilliant. They just had a really good sound. Dave Faulkner, I must say, he sings those songs so well. Obviously, his voice has improved over the years so much from singing Hoodoo Gurus. And just hearing him sing last night, really give it all, in the Victim songs. It just sounded fucking amazing. And they finished off the night with Flipped Out Over You and Television Addict, obviously. And then they came back and they did a cover of Chinese Rocks. And finished off with Disco Junkie, which, It was awesome, man. They played Perth as a Culture Shock. It just did so many cool songs, man. TV Freak, obviously. Oh my God, Horror Smash. It was just such a good night. And I still just am so fucking blown away by how good that show was. We're coming up to the end of the year now, and when you look back on all the shows you've seen, I mean, it's fighting as a contender there for number one of the best show I've seen this year. And I saw a lot of shows this year, but they may have done it. It was just so good. I'm sorry if the video doesn't do it justice, but if you were there and you were feeling it, and you would just have loved these songs for so long, you would have been in love with it. I was watching the crowd around me. I mean, granted, it was a much older crowd, so it wasn't crazy with stage diving and crowd surfing and whatever. Like, it wasn't one of those crowds, but there were people there that were just so fucking into it, and it was a beautiful sight to see. So, but anyway, I'm going to leave now with Flipped Out Over You and Television Addict by the Victims that I filmed last night at the Brunswick Ballroom here in Melbourne. So please enjoy this, and take care of each other, look after yourselves, go buy some records, And if you're in Sydney, go see the victims. For the rest of the world, sorry. I guess you had to be there. Take care, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
The red team's for his crime.